Kenneth Oliver. I'm joined here by Michael and Brian today at the Solano Community College TV Center. And welcome back to our podcast. This time we're not going to be talking about fishing, camping, none of that. We're going to be talking about something a little bit more serious. We are going to be covering mental health. And that brings me to my first question. What is mental health? If you'd like to go ahead.
So I think mental health is just a very complicated topic. I think just because there is no like universal definition of it, like a lot of people don't know what it is. And the Mental Health Foundation notes that mental health is defined by how individuals like feel about themselves and their lives, and how it affects how an individual copes. But I think this is just like a generic definition of it. But there's so much more to that, like so many other factors that kind of affect mental health, relationships, physical health, environmental stress, life experiences, and like all of these could influence a person's emotional and psychological like well-being. And yeah, there's so much factors that kind of go into what mental health is.
I personally, I agree. You know, there is a definition for it, but I feel like, mental health, there's not really anything that can confine it. You know, there's no one meaning that holds true to all of it. You know, it is such a blanket term. It's such a wide variety, you know, because there's so many different types of mental health, you know, whether it be disorders, diseases, you know, anything. It can't really be defined, but it is just overall like your mental state, where you're at, you know, whether it be good or bad. And there's just, I feel, too many examples to really define it.
I didn't even know what mental health was until the pandemic, when everybody went crazy.
Yeah, that for sure like affected everyone's mental health, like everyone in the world.
Yeah, no, everybody.
Like when COVID started, well, before COVID started, I used to always like want to go outside and, you know, enjoy life. But I don't know, kind of when COVID started, I feel like it switched like my mindset for sure. Like it just made me want to stay inside more, and like after just recently I've just kind of been more exposed to what mental health is, I guess. Just because I felt like a lot of things were happening that like kind of affected my mental health in like a negative way, more to say. And that's when I kind of like started questioning like what it is, and I found out there's just like no kind of just one definition, but there's so many factors that go into it.
Yeah, because I mean, what can help one area of mental health might not help another. You know, or what can define one area of it might not be able to define another.
Yeah.
And I'm in the same boat as you. You know, COVID, it definitely affected everybody. And, you know, just like you, I got comfortable sitting inside, you know, isolating myself, not wanting to talk to people. And that's part of why I'm in college now, you know, because I'm like, I tried the online high school, didn't work out, you know. I didn't really like it. I didn't really pass my classes, you know, because I wasn't in a good mental state, you know, and now I recognize that. But back then I didn't know, you know. So, I got comfortable being at home, and I feel like exposure, you know, is good.
Yeah.
So, I try to, you know, come out and see people more, talk to people.
We talk about things that kind of like affect mental health.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That actually does bring me to our next topic. Being inside, like we said, you know, can affect your mental health. But for some people, it can be positive. For some people, it can be negative. So I would like to ask you guys, in your guys' opinion, what do you think can positively affect mental health, and what can negatively affect it?
I think there's actually three kind of like segments of that, like things that negatively affect it, positively affect it, and then I think the more important one is like the gray areas, where it's like things that people think that help them, but actually is like could also hurt them in the same way. But things that negatively affect, like there's for sure certain ones where like, you know, losing someone dying, or even just an animal, for sure could like drain your mental health for sure. There's drugs, like some drugs literally just are horrible for you.
Losing your
Stress,
house.
losing your house, things like that, like losing anything, right?
Loss.
And one we mentioned was like cabin fever, like COVID, just staying inside the whole time was just for sure negatively affect someone's mental
Social
health.
deprivation is a
social
big one.
deprivation.
I feel like especially now with, I'm not gonna blame the internet 100%, but with how accessible stuff is on the internet, all these delivery services, like all this stuff that, like streaming services, everything. There's no need to go to the movie theaters anymore.
Yeah.
You're not going out and seeing
Streaming
somebody.
now,
Yeah, streaming. Like, there's no reason for you to leave your house anymore.
Yeah.
It's so easy to just sit inside.
So much of that happened like after COVID as well. Like all of those companies just boomed after COVID. Like especially food delivery, like Uber Eats and things like
Uber
that.
Eats and
like,
DoorDash.
DoorDash. Like all of those just went through the roof just because of that. Like it kind of conditioned people to not even want to go outside. Like, oh, I don't have to go outside. I could watch movies from my phone or whatever. I could order food. I don't even have to leave my house yet. It's just horrible.
Yeah, everything's at a click of a button.
There's a lot of mental health problems in agriculture too. Where people put their whole life into something. Lose the farm, or it's a dry year, or you don't get your rain.
Like an animal.
And the animals die. You don't have food for animals. You can't. That can be a significant.
Item. Yeah, that's just insane.
That can be a significant drain on your mental health.
Yeah, especially like you're taking care of them for so many years, and then something happens to them, or something you can't do anything about it.
If you're out on a farm or ranch with hundreds of acres, and then you have to go move into a trailer or apartment or something,
And
You lost a whole bunch of freedom.
and you don't have that freedom anymore. That's gonna be that. Yeah, that's got tough.
Yeah, so loss of freedom, that's definitely a big one. I feel like that's why COVID impacted people so much. You lost the entire world. You're confined to your bedroom, your four walls. But we did talk about the gray area and the bad side. I would like to talk about more positive things, just in case there's somebody watching, who might deal with stuff, like what is something you guys have
On
done?
the flip side, like hanging with family, hanging with pets, like actually going outside with friends and family, to actually do things you enjoy, to boost your happiness.
Some people even go to church.
Yeah.
A lot of people go to church. A lot of people find comfort in it.
A good one to like have something to do, it just so you actually have passion for something.
Yeah, me personally, I got really big into music. I've been involved in music my entire life, since I was in elementary school, touring around doing choir to marching band, like I've done it all. But nothing has ever really hit me like music has. If I'm ever feeling any type of way, I'll throw Stevie Wonder on. I'll throw on Donny Hathaway, Marvin Gaye,
Yeah.
I love music a lot. I feel like that's one of the best things for me personally.
Yeah. For me, it's always kind of been like sports. It's both like a physical activity, so you're kind of, you're getting, I guess, healthier or something.
Yeah, you're getting your blood pumping.
And then, like, it's actually fun, so it ties everything. It ties those two things together.
Water skiing.
Well, water skiing for you? Yeah.
Yeah. Anything on the water. Water skiing, wakeboarding, skateboarding, surfing, anything on the water. No, that's a high you won't get. Of any kind of drugs. Nobody can do that high.
Being with nature, I feel like it's just
it's the freedom. It's the
cruising across the water 40 miles an hour.
Exactly.
On a single ski.
It's fun, especially like with other people. Yeah, that's why it's just like COVID was just so bad. You weren't with anyone.
Yeah, I've noticed personally that school has been helping a lot. Like the past few years, have not been the best. But coming back here and having a goal in mind and working to achieve that goal, even outside of school, going to work, hanging out with family more, like you said, going to family gatherings, going to play sports, stuff like that. I feel like school is a very big one. And I feel like that leads me to our last topic. We talked about gray areas, good things and bad things to affect mental health. We've talked about what we feel like mental health is and definitions of it. Our last topic is going to be, why is mental health important?
I think it's very important, like how I opened up. I think there's a stigma that people think that mental health is not real. Like there is, it's like something you could fix so easily. I think people think, and people ignore, I guess, their feelings, and this causes, I guess, people to be trapped in with all those feelings, and then lash out on other people. And I think it's because they're not knowledgeable of what they're going through and why it's a bad thing. Like, oh, I'm depressed, but they don't know like the signs to look for. Like, oh yeah, I'm going through depression or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like taking psychology has helped me out a lot more. You know, even the little bits of neurology I've gone over, you know, the biggest question that always comes back to is why do we do what we do? You know, trying to find reasoning for doing what we do. And mental health plays into a lot of what we do. You know, if you're feeling good, you'll dress up nice, you'll go outside, go do something. You know, if you're not feeling too good, you'll sit at home in bed, you know, rot away, whatever it is. But I feel like there's too many cases where people don't understand mental health. Like I said, I personally, you know, I didn't realize it was depressive episodes.
Yeah.
But now that I'm older, you know, looking back, I'm like, that's what it was. And I'm taking steps now to avoid, you know, dealing with that again. And I feel like it's especially important amongst college students because it's not easy, you know.
Yeah, I think especially like how our kind of school system works, especially in the U.S., where it's like grades matter more than actually learning. Like they value like an A so high compared, like if A compared to a B is like a big jump, I guess, because they value more of like, oh, you have an A, so you must be doing good, rather than like, okay, this guy actually learned. And it puts a lot of pressure on the students, you know, to oh, I have to get an A, I have to get an A. I mean, you get just pressured, I guess, by even the schools who, even if you want to transfer to those schools, they'll say, oh, you need to at least get an A or a B. And then, yeah, I mean, you get a C and you think you're doing bad, you know?
Yeah. How would you say, Brian, why in your mind is mental health, like, important? Because, I mean, you spoke about, you know, being on a farm, feeling free, you know, then losing that, being put in a cabin, you know.
Yeah, if you're gonna succeed through life, you're gonna want to have healthy mental state.
Yeah, because, I mean, bad mental states lead you to do bad things, you know.
Yeah, I think it's also important to know, like, what it is, just because there are gray areas where people think that they are, like, trying to boost their mental health, but it's actually hurting them more than it's, like, helping them. Like, for example, like antidepressants, for sure, like, they're like a short-term fix rather than a long-term fix. There are also like other short-term fix, like nowadays just phone usage, I think, is a big one where like it's a short dopamine, like, oh, okay, I'm stressed out or something, let me just go on my phone and, you know, scroll, and then you just get stuck in this endless loop of just watching things over and over, and you don't even know what you're looking at,
you're just you know, you're doing what feels good.
I got an executive order for my birthday to decriminalize this Schedule 1 psychedelics to study for mental health. Mike Tyson is a DMT advocate. He swears that one dose will reconnect your brain. So there's a lot of there's research on that backs that up.
Yeah. I feel like even bringing Mike Tyson up, like, he is a big mental health advocate. You know, when you think of, you know, strong, muscular, masculine men, don't cry, none of that, you know, his image comes to mind, you know, but you see interviews of him in tears about his daughter, you know, just his mental state, how he was scared of who he was back then, you know, because now he's getting that clarity. He's starting to understand more and taking care of his mental health, you know, and I feel like it's important to take care of it.
Yeah, that's a great example. I seen a video of him as well. Like, I think he doesn't even keep his belts anymore just because, for him, he said that it didn't mean anything to him anymore. Like he wanted to focus like on his family, you know, like closest to him, because when he was going through that, you know, he lost his daughter, so what's it called? Like he was kind of fighting through that pain, like it's like.
Yeah, he was fighting to escape it. You know?
And so he just wanted to kind of get away from that.
Yeah, I think even like I mentioned earlier, Donny Hathaway, he's somebody I listened to, you know, and one day I looked up what happened to him, you know. I'm like, I know obviously he's passed away, but, you know, what was it? And I found out that he was dealing with a lot of mental health problems. He was a diagnosed schizophrenic. And if I remember right, he didn't know it. Or like they knew it, but they kept him on, like you said, not antidepressants, but they kept him on medication to soothe that, you know. And after a while, he stopped taking them, you know, and it got worse and worse. And he eventually took his own life, you know. And I feel like that's far too common, you know, that people have problems that can be managed, you know, and they can be helped if they know, if they're given the right resources, you know, if they know what to do.
That's why I think music is really just good at doing that, because it's like a lot of the times it is people going through something and they're expressing it through their music. And a lot of times, like, really good music comes from people who are going through something and have a need to like express themselves, and that's a lot of the times how really great music comes about.
Yeah, it's people speaking on their pain, you know.
You sound like you're talking about Chester Bennington.
Yeah, he was the lead singer of a group called Linkin Park. They were a rock band.
Oh, I know Linkin Park. Yeah.
Every song that they produced was the same.
Yeah, it was all.
Because when he died, they played all their music on every one. He expressed that in every song they played on the radio that day. You could hear it. You could hear his screams and his cries. You could hear his cries for help.
Yeah, you definitely can. I feel like that's why it's important to have those resources around you or know where to go. You know, I think of Robin Williams. He was one of my favorite actors, comedians, you know. And then to get a call from my mom, you know, look at the news. He took his own life, you know, because he was dealing with stuff. Yeah. And I feel like we should mental health should be more widely accepted amongst people.
Yeah, and then also it's just like people need to realize like it can always get better, and also like it could always be worse. Like, I mean, we're in a situation, we just here, like, especially me, I mean, I was born in, you know, the U.S. A lot of people want to come here. California, I mean, I live in California, like, a lot of people want to come here, like, I'm in, like, prime of, like, the world, basically, like, arguably, you know, and, you know, there's so many, like, opportunities, right, and, I think some people, there's this quote that I kind of, it's like, if you put kind of your pile of problems compared to, like, everyone else's problems, you'll notice that, like, we do have it, like, better than most people. So
somebody's always got it worse. Yeah, you know,
we have to keep them around.
One of my favorite lines, and I gotta tell my mom, she's a little bit older. I take care of my parents, and something will happen, and she blows up, makes a big guy. I told you, pump the brakes. If that's as big as my problems get today, I'll count my blessings.
I say the same thing to my because you know, you realize there are some people who it could be they're dealing with mental health, you know, but they don't know what it is. So little problems that they can't control, you know, are blown out of proportion.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. I like to focus on things that I actually could control, because if not, you're just gonna be on an endless cycle trying to fix things that you literally can't. It's impossible to fix. So you gotta just
I'm like, why worry about something that you can't do anything about?
Yes.
You know, you're just gonna stress yourself out and put yourself in a darker place. You know, and a lot of the times when you're in that darker place, people don't reach out until it's, you know, not too late, but
sometimes.
Sometimes they reach out when it's too late. You know,
I mean, and that happens a lot. Like in music, I mean, there's so many people that, like how you guys just said, like they're literally, their songs are like a cry for help, but like people don't really realize it.
Until they're gone.
Yeah, so they're gone, and then they look back on the music, and it's like, Amy was saying it.
Yeah, all the signs were right there. You know, like we had everything we needed.
Kurt Cobain. I mean, how you guys Juice WRLD like is a recent
Yeah,
one.
Juice WRLD was a big one.
Yeah, that's. I mean, he was literally taking drugs to try to help that pain that he was dealing with inside.
And that's, you know, I feel like that's why, again, you know, as we keep saying, I feel like that's why mental health is important.
You gotta know, like,
there's a lot of people, you know, we just listed celebrities, you know, there's somebody
exactly
the next state over that just did that.
Yes.
You know, there's somebody across the world who just did that because they didn't have the resources.
Exactly.
You know.
And so, like, why? I feel like, as much as it is to know why it is important, I feel like you need to know that there is like resources out there to help you. Like even just talking with somebody, talking with a relative, a friend. I mean, like there's therapies out there for things like that. Like you just have to know that there is always someone that you could talk to, I guess, like, and express your feelings, like what you're going
I know
through.
Solano has a good mental health program.
Yeah, they
Don't
have
they?
a mental health. It's called like the Health and Wellness Center, I think. Yeah. And they're always available.
Yeah, I feel like that's something more people should look into.
Yeah, especially I mean, we attend it, right?
Yeah, we come. You know, it's however many feet away. You know, help is always right there. I feel like it's important to know that, you know, you have help even when you feel like you don't.
Everybody's got help right here at their fingertips on their phone.
Exactly. Yeah. Nowadays, yeah, it is really that.
Often it misinterprets what I'm saying, and you go straight to the. If you need help, there's a
they put the link up
suicide
there,
hotline.
you know?
And suicide hotline comes up first if you think.
Yeah, if you search up anything like, oh wow,
or if it misinterprets what you're saying,
Yeah.
and you're thinking that
Yeah, I discovered these hotlines they're called warm lines, but it's these people, they sign up and they put their number out there and you dial in, you know, call a warm line and it's anonymous. Somebody will pick up the call and they're not all certified therapists, you know, but they're,
at least it's someone.
if there's somebody for you to talk to,
Exactly.
you know, and yeah, I feel like resources are always there, but the problem is people not knowing where to look.
Where to
Or
look.
not having access to them,
Exactly.
you know. I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. Again, I'm Kenneth, joined here by Michael and Brian. We talked about what mental health is. We talked about things that you can do that positively and negatively affect your mental health. And we talked a bit about why mental health is important. I hope that if somebody is watching and they're going through something, you know, people are available to help you. If you attend Solano, the Health and Wellness Center, or I'm sorry, was that what it's called?
Yeah, the Health and Wellness Center. Yeah, there's always help.
Yeah, the Health and Wellness Center, you know, or even just ask another student, you know, somebody's always out there. We appreciate you watching. Thank you for listening to our podcast.